One of the cool things about watching television with a continuous story is that there is this unspoken idea that the series knows where it wants to go, and any good show will make each episode relevant to the greater narrative. If an episode fails to do this, then it's classified as filler and can be skipped if one is short on time. One series of episodes that is often accused of this label is Neon Genesis Evangelion episodes 10 and 11. But if we remember the last few episodes, we know that this show is Neon Genesis Evangelion, and that it has a plan. And if one is careful, they can see how that plan exposes itself. In Evangelion episode 10, we see the evolution of Shinji and Asuka's relationship that will become more relevant as this series progresses. It makes this a point by having Kaji, the only other person that Asuka has been attracted to, largely not be present. This cleverly allows Shinji to be the sole male occupying Asuka's attention for the time being. And because of this, Shinji is exposed to a new side of Asuka. She brags about her accomplishments in being able to attain a college degree at 14 while at the same time admitting her inability to read kanji, exposing that she can't do something that Shinji can do. As someone who prides herself in being good at things, Asuka implying that someone is better than her is a big deal. And for the first time, we see Asuka try to flirt with Shinji, for she knows that he almost kissed her in the previous episode. Asuka attempts to use this known attraction to garner affirmation for her developed body, not realizing that Shinji is very socially inept, so he largely doesn't understand why he is turned on with a body like hers. Shinji being unable to respond to Asuka's advances becomes a problem later in the series, but is something that is played for laughs at this point. What ends up being more relevant is the gesture of Shinji saving Asuka from falling into the volcano, proving he is more reliable than the guardians that are supposed to be looking after her. This action metaphorically sweeps Asuka off her feet, which is why she describes it as showing off. And in her mind, this happens despite her overbearing personality that tends to put a sour taste in people's mouths. One of those people put off is Rei, who was given a few moments to notify us that there is a degree of attraction between her and Shinji, with him staring at Rei after she climbs out of the pool, and when she interrupts him and volunteers herself to go into the volcano with Unit 2. Rei doing this gives Asuka the conviction to go ahead with the mission anyways, thereby perfectly setting up the dynamic we see in the following episode. The Day Tokyo 3 Stood Still, or Episode 11, explores how the addition of Asuka will affect how all three pilots function as a team. At this point in the series, we've only seen pairs of characters together, and now we get to see how exactly Asuka and Rei must get along. Rei sees almost instantly through Asuka's showboating personality, thereby most of this episode you could see as Rei humoring her, so to speak. She hasn't gained the initiative yet to assert herself and has only at this point ignored Asuka, so Shinji must balance everything out. And the choice Shinji is presented carries obvious symbolic weight. Him deciding is him admitting who he trusts more. But due to Rei being distant and Asuka being Asuka, he can't decide, signifying to the audience that the conflict between Asuka and Rei is not only derived from differences in personality. This competition has an interesting effect on both characters. Asuka allows Rei to gain a greater sense of identity, and Rei forces Asuka to be a more intelligent pilot. The crux of the episode that facilitates this interaction is very important in establishing the potential severity of battles. Because of the lighthearted nature of the past three Angel encounters, one can almost forget that humanity is one sabotage away from extinction. This precariousness will be elaborated more later on, but this explains that Nerve is vulnerable and it will be breached more than once in this series. Episode 6 wasn't just a fluke. Nevertheless, thanks to the quick thinking on both Gendo and Asuka, humanity lives to fight another day. Episodes 10 and 11 of Evangelion are interesting to me, not only seeing them as a part of the work itself, but also the fans' reactions to them. Episode 10 is considered the worst episode of the series due to its tendency to be labeled as filler. But as has been explained in this video, there are important things in both episodes to take note of and that you should pay attention to. Evangelion doesn't have filler. Each episode is full of little nuggets of information that will either be relevant later or further help the audience to understand the characters and the world they live in. These episodes have this attitude of knowing that they aren't going to be harboring some huge advance in the plot. They go out of their way to signify this by having more side characters on screen doing mundane tasks. And this period of serenity raises their confidence enough to tackle an attack operation for the first time, meaning the tone of the episode serves the narrative of the episode. Little bits like these are some of the things that make watching Neon Genesis such a wondrous experience. Do you agree that episodes like Magma Diver deserve a little more credit and aren't so bad, or do you think it's still the worst episode of Eva? Let me know in the comments below what you think, and if I said anything that piqued your interest, then feel free to share this video. Be sure to check out my Patreon and other works if you wish to support my content. Catch you guys on the next video.